was 13, I answered the door to a pizza guy, but hours later, someone was banging on the front door, begging to be let in. I thought I was safe. I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. He was watching me the entire time, and then he got inside. This is not a story. This really happened, and what I heard next, I'll never forget for the rest of my life. When I was 13, I thought I was finally growing up. My parents had started trusting me to stay home alone. We lived in a quiet, peaceful neighborhood on the edge of a small town. Tree-lined streets, wide yards, friendly neighbors who waved as they passed. It wasn't the kind of place where you locked your doors in the daytime. Everyone knew everyone. It felt safe. That weekend, my parents were heading to a friend's cabin out of town and decided to leave me home alone for the night. I wasn't scared. I was excited. A whole night to myself. Pizza, video games, and no one to boss me around. They left me some money for dinner and kissed me goodbye. I immediately grabbed the cordless phone and ordered a large pepperoni from my favorite spot, Tony's Pizzeria. While I waited, I popped in my old PS2 game, Metal Gear Solid 2, and got lost in the gameplay. About 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I paused the game and grabbed the $20 bill from the counter. When I opened the door, I was met by a man who didn't quite fit the usual delivery driver image. He was tall, maybe in his late 30s, with greasy dark hair sticking out from under a faded red cap. His clothes were stained, and he had a wild, twitchy look in his eyes. Still, he smiled and handed me the box. "20, I said, holding out the bill. He took it, counted back a few dollars in change, too slowly, and asked, "You home alone, kid?" Something about his tone was off. My stomach twisted. I remembered what my mom had told me. Never tell anyone you're alone. I stammered and said, "No, my dad's upstairs." He just nodded once, eyes darting past me into the house, and then turned and walked down the steps. I shut the door fast and locked it. I told myself it was nothing. Just a weird guy working a job. I ate dinner in the living room with the curtains shut. I even turned on a couple extra lights around the house. That uneasiness didn't leave me though. I kept thinking about the way his eyes searched the room behind me. Trying to shake it off, I returned to my game. Around 10:45 p.m., just as I was about to turn it off and head to bed, the doorbell rang again. My heart jumped. My parents weren't supposed to be back until the next afternoon. I approached the door and peeked through the peephole, but it was too dark to make anything out clearly. I called out, "Hello? Who is it?" A man's voice, different than before, replied, "Hey, my car broke down. Can I use your phone?" My mouth went dry. It was a weird time to be knocking on doors, and he didn't sound desperate, just calculated. I didn't respond. I backed away from the door and moved toward the stairs, but then, bang, 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 he pounded on the door. Louder now. I darted up the steps and into my room. My first instinct was to call my parents. I grabbed my phone and rang my mum. She answered groggily, clearly already in bed wherever they were staying. I whispered, "Mom, someone's outside. They're knocking on the door and asking to come in." Her tone instantly shifted, sharp and alert. She asked if I had spoken to the man, and I told her I had, just once. Then I remembered the delivery guy. I told her about how he asked if I was alone. There was a pause, then she said firmly, "Go to my room, lock the door, stay there. We're calling the police right now." I locked myself in their room, curled up beside the nightstand, and waited. A few minutes later, I heard the front gate creak open. It was the gate to the backyard. We didn't have a dog, and the motion light back there had been broken for months. I told my mom what I'd heard, and she begged me to stay quiet. I turned off the lights and crouched in the dark, my ears straining, and I heard it. Footsteps inside the house. If you're still watching, you're brave, but don't stop now. Things are about to get much worse, and if this has ever happened to you, drop your story in the comments. I'm reading everyone. And if you want part 2, trust me, you're not ready for what happens next. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next knock might not be on the screen. It might be at your door.